Let's get to the stock of the day because I've been told again many times that this year will be a stock pickers year. And my guest yesterday saying that in particular reckons that when it comes to, this was Mark Gardner from MPC Markets, that there could be a lot of opportunities in this more smaller end of the market. Now, I'm not saying that he picked today's stock of the day as one of those companies, but I think it's worthwhile mentioning that 4D Medical, 4DX is the ticker code, has reached a record high today. Shares up by 13.6% after signing a new deal in the US. So the health system of the University of California in San Diego has become the fourth U.S. academic medical center to adopt 4D Medical's CTVQ technology for lung imaging. The take-up comes just 4 months after the firm achieved FDA approval. 4D Medical said in a statement to the ASX that UC San Diego Health was one of the nation's leading academic health systems and has consistently ranked in the top 10 in the U.S. for pulmonary and lung surgery. So here's an interesting company that I don't know if it would have come up on either of your radars very often, gentlemen. But Andrew, I'll start with you. What do you think of 4DX? We've been speaking with the CEO since ausbiz launched nearly 6 years ago. Certainly seems to be making strides.
It does. And just to Mark's comment before relating to small caps, that's certainly an area that we have also been looking at probably the last 6-9 months. So certainly I would agree with that there are probably more opportunities in that small cap space. So whether, and we'll talk about 4DX in a second, or whether there's an ETF you might want to think about, or whether there's a couple of managed funds that play in that space. That's certainly an unloved area of the market and some opportunity for small caps. So if we talk about 4DX, last time Henry and I looked at this one was back in 2020. Nadine.
Oh, wow.
So it must have been soon after they listed, and they were trading at around 73 cents. So they've come quite a way since then, as we can see, $4.77, and their market, having raised 50 million on their IPO at that stage, now with a market capitalisation of $2.4 billion. So that's a pretty significant sum of money, and they're turning over about $7 million a day. That technology they have, that CTVQ technology, as you said before, you've now got 4 major academic medical centres utilising that. And from what I understand, and again, I don't profess to be a radiologist, they can actually utilise that sort of underlying X-ray infrastructure within the actual medical complex already. So it's not a great deal of outlay for hospitals, and it's a lower cost than actually doing a CT scan. The software is used for lung disease diagnosis, and it's non-invasive, so it allows for that sort of real-time analysis. So certainly it all seems pretty positive. Probably if I'm being miserable, which is sort of hard to be in the new year, the Grinch time has passed, the consensus valuation is around $2.50. So we're knocking on the door of around $5 per share. So that is certainly challenging from that point of view. And as we said back in 2020, it's going to be volatile and it's going to bounce around. And so it's probably one, I would say it's a hold at this stage, Nadine. I think it's one that has got amazing promise. But from a valuation point of view, just because they've got a couple of these, or 4 as it would be now, preeminent institutions on the books, we actually really need to see some revenue to justify a $2.4 billion valuation. So it's a hold at this stage. If it was to fall back closer to that 250, heaven forbid, that might be one to sort of look at, but at this stage it's a hold.
Okay, so Zach, when you look at this company, and I don't know if you've looked at it before, so thank you for doing your research today, do you think the price has gotten ahead of itself?
Yeah, fundamentally it has. From an interesting business model. Frankly, I think they're pretty much doing a Pro Medicus 2.0. They try to turn static. What is a pretty archaic? Some of the processes used in some of the diagnostic industry right now are very archaic. That's what Pro Medicus came and did. They turned it into a Netflix series, the images, and these guys are doing the same thing for lungs, 2D static lung images into 4D, effectively moving, streaming and it does improve the efficiency of it. It's an exciting business. It's one that you know, as an investor, when we sit down, and we have looked at this before, unfortunately we missed out on it. We're waiting for a pullback. It's one of those stocks that you want to be part of because they're doing something new and innovative. But the method and the strategy they're using is being tried and tested by Pro Medicus, and in fact, Pro Medicus is one of the biggest investors on their shareholder registry as well. So I'm assuming they're getting a bit of a helping hand in terms of how to plan this out. Now, from a fundamental perspective, bottom-up perspective, look, you probably can get a valuation of this stock around on a DCF basis. I think you're probably getting a valuation between $1 to $2. That's long dated. But if you're talking about multiple based, you know, you probably really have to look at 2027, where I think they're about to deliver $27 odd million in revenue. The current valuation or current market cap is implying a multiple of 90 times or 95 times. Definitely stretch. And so look, I agree with Andrew. It's a story that you want to get behind. I'd be neutral on it. I'm not sure if it falls, but the story for this stock will continue to bounce around with new deals announced. Just don't forget that Pro Medicus, who's on the share registry, is in all the major medical universities and teaching units in the US. These guys will certainly be getting a helping hand on that. And if they get on that chain, the stock price will basically move on every new medical center that gets announced. And like today, up 14%. I'm not justifying it, but that's the story it's going to be. So I am, you know, new year, I want to be very, very optimistic. But I'm leaning towards a buy, but I couldn't just right now, but I would not be surprised if more deals are announced this year, and therefore this continues to rise.
Yeah, right. Okay, so there you go. A hold or neutral from Zach, from both of my guests. Great story, but just a bit too Xy. That's the stock of the day, 4DX.